I'm not gonna do the emojis for this because when this trended, I was pretty shocked, and I felt as though this woman got a raw deal from the industry. I had a hard life, but was tough as nails and was unapologetic in her beliefs. And I'm talking about Sinead O'Connor. I spoke about Sinead O'Connor like a couple of years ago, just like really brief. I didn't do like a full commentary on Sinead. And the reason why is because I didn't feel that Sinead O'Connor was a person that was just a type of... She never liked celebrity. She was an artist. I didn't really think it was appropriate to just talk about her in commentary like I do, like other people. She's a person that didn't like fame. She just wanted to make music, but she made a song called Nothing Compares to You. She recorded it, written by Prince, and it was one of the biggest hits from the early 90s, really 1990. I think it went number one in April of 90. I remember I was 6 years old. I watched MTV all the time as well as BET. Saturdays, MTV. I want my MTV. And I remember they played that song. They played that video. And I knew it was number one because of the MTV countdown. I would watch. It would air, I think it was from 3 to 5. I remember that was always the number one video. And it was the number one video for like 2 months. But it was a great song. So I'm going to read this from NPR. And the reason why I'm choosing to read about her from NPR is because NPR is a national public radio. And I think it's more appropriate because they didn't throw her on the bus like a lot of major publications. So it reads, Irish singer Sinead O'Connor has died at age 56. Sinead O'Connor, the Irish singer known for her intense and beautiful voice, her political convictions, and her personal tumult that overtook her later years, has died. She was 56 years old. O'Connor recording Nothing Compares to You was one of the biggest hits of the early 90s. Her passing was announced by her family. The cause and date of her death was not made public. The statement said, "It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our beloved Sinead. Her family and friends are devastated and have requested privacy at this very difficult time." Alternative radio in the late 1980s rang with the voices of female singers who defied commercial expectations of what women should look like and how they should sound. But even in a crowd that included Tracy Chapman and Laurie Anderson and the Indigo Girls, O'Connor stood out. The cover to her first album, released in 1987, was so striking, not just because of her beautiful face. It was her head, bald as an eaglet, and her wrists locked defensively across her heart. The album's title, The Lion and the Cobra, refers to a verse from Psalm 91, about believers and the power and resilience of their faith. And throughout her early life, Sinead O'Connor was resilient. "I grew up in a severely abusive situation, my mother being the perpetrator," O'Connor told NPR in 2014. "So much of child abuse is about being voiceless, and it's a wonderfully healing thing to just make sounds." O'Connor started making sounds in a home for juvenile delinquents after a childhood spent getting booted out of Catholic schools and busted repeatedly for shoplifting. But a nun gave her a guitar, and she began to sing on the streets of Dublin, and then with the popular Irish band called Intua Nua. O'Connor came to the attention of U2's guitarist, The Edge, and she got herself signed to the Ensign Chrysalis label. Her second studio album, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got, went double platinum in 1990, partly because of her hit love song written by Prince, Nothing Compares to You. I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got was a distillation of O'Connor's prayerful sense of music and her fury over social injustice. She rejected its 4 Grammy nominations as being too commercial and, in her words, for destroying the human race. She was banned from a New Jersey arena when she refused to sing the Star-Spangled Banner for its lyrics glorifying bombs bursting in air. Rock critic Bill Wyman says O'Connor belonged to a proud Irish tradition of speaking up against the established order. You know she's always on the side of the victims and the vulnerable and the weak, he observes. In 1992, at the height of her fame, Sinead O'Connor appeared on Saturday Night Live. In her performance, she raised her voice against racism and child abuse. There was dead silence when she ended the song, a version of Bob Marley's War, by ripping up a picture of then Pope John Paul II. What followed in the media was a collective howl of outrage. It drowned out a persistent protest against abuse in the Catholic Church. Years later, in 2010, O'Connor told NPR she'd known exactly what to expect. It was grand, to be honest. She said, I knew how people would react. I knew we would be trouble. I was quite prepared to accept that. To me, it was more important that I recognize what I will call the Holy Spirit. Rock music's Joan of Arc, as she began to be called, became increasingly erratic in her convictions. O'Connor was a feminist, then she wasn't. She supported the Irish Republican Army until she didn't. She got ordained as a Catholic priest by a rogue sect. She converted to Islam. She went from celibacy to oversharing about her taste in sex. She changed her name several times, calling herself Shuhada Sadakat after her conversion, though she continued to release music under her birth name, and her music veered unpredictably from new age to opera to reggae. That's true. Even though O'Connor never produced another notable hit, tabloids kept covering her 4 marriages, her 4 divorces, and 4 children, her feuds with celebrities ranging over the years from Frank Sinatra to Miley Cyrus. I think people lost respect for credibility, says Bill Wyman, and her later records just weren't as much fun. They're poorly produced and they're odd, and they're just not enjoyable. Oh no. In the later years, O'Connor took to Facebook and Twitter to write about her struggle with mental illness. Yeah, I don't want to read the other one. If you came of age in the 1980s, one song you heard over and over from Sinead O'Connor's first album was Never Gets Old. If only somehow she could have gotten old as powerfully as her strongest songs. After her passing, the Prime Minister of Ireland, Leo Varadkar, issued a statement on social media saying, really sorry to hear of the passing of Sinead O'Connor. Her music was loved around the world, and her talent was unmatched and beyond compare. Condolences to her family, her friends, and all who loves her music. May her soul rest at the right hand of God. I always liked her. And it was just a song. It's just that looking at her as a 5-year-old, I was like, she has a bald head. I was telling my grandma, she has a bald head. She's a woman. My grandma would tell me, but I'm like, but she has a bald head. And so I remember when she ripped up the Pope's photo. And I remember everybody talked about it. And for me, I kind of liked what she did at first, but I was like, I can't say it because I'm Catholic. But deep down inside, I fucking love that shit. I fucking loved it. But I do think that her being a Sagittarius, she was ever-changing. She's a mutable sign. But I also think she's groundbreaking because what you see now, they're doing it as if nothing. But when she was doing it, it was just so brand new. You know, it was brand new. It was just provocative and no one was doing it. Like the video Troy, that's when I first saw her, when she burned up the house, even though it was superimposed. But when it burned, I said, OMG. This chick is wild. But then when she did the video for Nothing Compares to You, she was calm, but then she had the boots. But it was still like provocative because it was like, OMG. She is like nobody else, because you had the Whitneys, you didn't have the Mariahs. You had all these women that wanted to be beautiful pop stars, but she was like, F that shit. So I actually enjoy her. I thought she was awesome. But with that being said, rest in paradise, Sinead O'Connor. I don't think we'll see anyone like her in this time. Probably the next time. But I don't think we will. And that's all. Take care, everyone. Good night.